Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is James from MyTakeOnReality. I'm here by myself. What we going to do, y'all? I don't know. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a whole problem because tonight we were, unfortunately, Sarah had some issues and she had some things that she had to take care of. So she's not going to be able to join us tonight. But I am going to open up the phone lines like I do on my after party show to let some of you guys come in and give your take on what you see on the screen. So it should be a good time. We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to cover. I'm very excited about it. Let me get some ones in the chat to make sure that you guys can see me and hear me. Some of you guys already got it. You know the drill, because sometimes I'm sitting here talking to myself. And if you can imagine, I'm in a room all alone acting like this, and it could be very disturbing to those who walk in on me and see me talking to myself. And nobody's actually getting anything. So thank you guys for giving me those ones and let me know that I'm coming through loud and clear. Hopefully you guys have had a fantastic Monday, Power Monday, Motivational Monday. We keeping it moving on Monday. So hopefully everybody's having a good time. I want to check in with my my comments, make sure everything is popping. Yes, it is. Everything looks good there. We have a lot to talk about, guys. We have a lot to talk about. I was watching that episode last night. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. When I was watching last night's episode, again, we're back on the Coyote Pass. That was a huge portion of what we watched last night. We found out some interesting details, or at least from my perspective, because I'm kind of a like one of those legal litigation nerd type people. So I like a lot of that stuff. So there's a lot of things like tidbits that were kind of dropped last night that I want to talk about today. Let's see. Oh yeah, because the whole thing. Somebody said peace of mind. What is this? Peace of mind hack split the episode into two because second half really brought me peace. That Christine, Janelle, and Mary are all figuring out, and Robin and Cody are going to pay for their sins when the time comes. And I think that that's about accurate. I think that when we look at it, I think that there's a lot of interesting things to talk about, especially from the perspective of how these ladies navigate this very serious um, litigation, liability, potential litigation, but property liability, because it's not just a matter of having this asset of Coyote Pass out in Arizona for them to be able to tap into, make money from, et cetera, et cetera. That property, especially if they can't utilize any of it, is a liability. It's not an asset because they don't have there's nothing that Christine or I'm sorry. There's nothing Christine could do with it because she gave hers to Robin and Cody. But there's nothing that Janelle and Mary will be able to do with the property at all. They couldn't sign over there. Like they might be able to use some leverage as far as signing it over to using it for collateral, maybe for loans or things of that nature, but not really because typically most underwriters won't sign off on that type of loan unless you have all parties who own the property signed off on the loan as well. This isn't the case with Cody and Robin, as we're going to discuss. That is not the case when it comes to Cody and Robin. They have a good portion of land that they can use, and underwriters will utilize that property or their portion of Coyote Pass as collateral for future loans. $2.1 million mansion. I'm just saying. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about like some of the other finer points of what happened in last night's episode with regard to Robin revealing like how everything came up with her uncle Paul, who is now her daddy. So we're going to talk about that. Hopefully you guys are excited about that. I know I am. Before we get too far along, I want to pull down this, and I want to ask you guys a question. We're going to start this off with a survey, a little quick survey piece. It's going to be crazy, guys. All right. So the survey says, I had a question about a clip that I pulled, and I want to get your feedback on it, on what you think. Like, I know what I think, but I want to hear what you guys think. So I want to play the clip, and then I want to pose the question to you guys. And I'm going to give you some time to answer the survey question, and we're going to talk about some of the other issues and some of the topics from last night's episode. Then we're going to answer we're going to get the results of the survey, and then we're going to get in the Coyote Pass. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here is the clip from last night where Mary was talking, and this is what Mary had to say.
I don't know. Do you want to have a conversation with Cody? Do you think if we're all in Flagstaff, like, could you and I like meet and have a conversation with him? Do we want to do that?
I don't know, Mary, because I don't think it's going to do any, like, it's going to be just a bunch of the same old blah, blah. Look, I'm going to stay in contact and I can provide all the documents, but I'm not sure it's worth having a conversation with them.
Ooh, I'm not sure if it's worth having a conversation. I want to hear what you guys think. Now, there's a couple camps you can be in. Like, I know the Mary fans, the Mary stands are all going to say that this is just Mary trying to take care of business. She TCBing, baby. She just trying to get her stuff handled. And she ready to go in person, because later on Mary has said that, look, I don't have nothing to lose. I don't have a relationship with any of these people. I don't give a damn about what's going on. I'm fresh out of give a damn, so I can go into this meeting and say whatever I want to say, right? But there are other people who are going to have different opinions. So the question, the survey question is, Mary wants a reason to talk to Cody. I should say, does Mary want a reason to talk to Cody? And she's using Coyote Pass as an excuse. So is she saying that I want to have this conversation with Cody because we need to talk about Coyote Pass, and I'm gonna give him one more chance to figure out that he's making a terrible mistake? Is that a possibility? Is she saying to herself, because again, I'm gonna weigh it out both ways. She also said that she didn't give a damn about what's going on with him, so she's ready to just lay it out on the line. She's been talking trash about him behind his back with her girlfriends, Jen, and what did Cody call them? The nasty names that Cody called them. Jen and her pack of ladies been talking crap about Cody. So that's been going on one side. But on the other side, is Mary trying to hold out, because she also said that she can't believe that Cody is this kind of person. And it sounds like, at least from some of her descriptions on the couch, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this, it sounds like she's still struggling on whether Cody is that kind of guy or not. So if he's not that kind of guy, maybe there's a hope that he's not this evil Dr. Doom type character. And deep down inside, the real Cody, the Cody she fell in love with, the Cody who loved her, the Cody she married, is still there. And there's a possibility that he's going to wake up from his sleep, his coma of carelessness, and start to show Mary the love, compassion, and respect she deserves. So the question is, does Mary want, the grammar on this was terrible, guys. Does Mary want a reason to talk to Cody? And is she using Coyote Pass as an excuse? Let me know what you guys think. This is a yes or no question. Now it's yes and no question. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to start that poll. Get that ripping. Now, before we get too far into it, can we get some likes up? Can we get these likes up, guys? Come on, we got 100 likes. 100 likes, 300 people in the chat. Come on, let's get these likes up. I got a new banner, guys. I'm very excited about it. Boom, check that out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yeah. Let's see. So as we're letting that survey cook, we're gonna let that survey cook a little bit. We're gonna let it come to temp. Well, let's talk about some of the things that we noticed in this episode. All right, now the first thing, let's talk about Christine, Janelle coming up like champions. They turning the whole game around. Okay, they're on top of this. They're turning everything around. Why do I say that? Christine has an investment property. She purchased a property down in Moab where she got married, Moab, Utah. It's a nice little condo, nice little spot. It's not really a condo, it's more of a townhome, but it's a nice little spot, and she's going to rent it out. So now she started out, she left with a house that she sold. She purchased a home. Now she has a husband, and the two of them are developing rental properties, and she's moving forward. If you recall, this is parallel in no small way to what Cody was saying he wanted to do in Arizona. When he got out to Arizona, all he talked about was buying up properties and turning everything into a dang-gone rental. In Coyote Pass, he wanted to buy 5 or 6. He wanted to split that up, subdivide it up into like 6 properties and put all rentals over there and rent all those properties out. He wanted to buy Christine's house and turn Christine's house into a rental. He wanted to turn Robin's house into a rental. He wanted to be the rental king out in Arizona. But as it turns out, he has a wife, an ex-wife, who is going back, making his dreams come true, doing her thing and putting her stamp on it. And she's actually making it happen. And I know that's killing Cody deep down inside in places he don't want to talk about. I know that's destroying him. Because now you're watching your ex-wife do everything you've been talking about doing this entire time. I know that's burning his ass up. And she's making it happen because the place that she had, I mean, it's not a place that I'd be like, oh, man, that's the most beautifulest home I've ever seen. But it's a nice spot. It's a nice little rental. I can see me renting that for like a weekend or a week or two, just so I can be in the area. It's a nice little, cozy home. It's cool. She did good. Christine, you did good. You did good. Okay? So Christine is starting to develop herself a little business. All right, this is her first property. She didn't say, okay, now that I've achieved my rental property, I'm going to stop. That's not what she said. Okay, so this might be the first property on her way to creating like a rental property empire. Her and her husband, who is a contractor and has contracting friends and works construction. She's in a unique position where she can acquire properties, even if properties are somewhat dilapidated. She can get those properties on the cheap. And because she has a husband who does contracting work and has connections of people who do contracting work, I'm sure in his Rolodex, he has a list of plumbers. He's a drywall guy. He has guys who probably do concrete framing, the whole nine. So he basically could build a house if he wanted to, right? And because she's in that unique position, and if they're not dumping a ton of money into rehabbing these homes, she's in a very unique position to explode her business. Then, of course, we have Janelle, who's coming out of the box, 159 acres. Cody's out there sitting on his 14 acres on Coyote Pass thinking he king of the mountain. Janelle has 159 acres down in North Carolina. She's talking about doing a flower farm, which is a very profitable business out of North Carolina. For those who don't know, you can make a crap ton of money selling flowers out of North Carolina. Then on top of that, she's talking about potentially putting up cabins and creating event spaces on that same location. I mean, she's got plenty of land to do it. 159 acres. She can put a lot of stuff down there. Okay, she's doing well. She's on the brink of a major come up. And of course, you have Mary on the other side. Oh, she got the B&B. She got the only thing Mary got is the B&B and a killer ass MLM business. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of multi-level marketing businesses. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to bullshit about it. I'm not a fan of them at all. But at the same time, I know if you're in a position in those businesses, you can make a ton of money. There are a few people in multi-level marketing businesses who make a ton of money. Mary is in that group of people who make a ton of money. Okay, so she's in a very unique position. So everybody who we're watching on the screen, from the OG3 to Robin and Cody versus Robin and Cody, the OG3 their lives are exploding. They're dropping weight. They're looking good. They look healthy. They look happy. They pockets are looking fat. The only thing fat on them is they pockets. Woo! You gotta love it. Cody and Robin, they out there supposedly on a family day. Everybody looking depressed. The kids don't look like they want to be out there. The most ridiculous thing that we could talk about, because for those who don't know, there was a point where Robin and Cody were out on Cloudy Pass with Robin's kids, or at least 4 of her kids. Dayton is nowhere to be seen. And they're painting these tables that Robin's stepfather, supposedly built for them when they were in Nevada. Like she wanted all the sister wives to have a table. So she had her stepfather, build these tables so that each one of the sister wives could have a table. Ironically, all the tables are now sitting on Cloudy Pass. Now, when they went out, the first thing I'm going to say about this, and I said this last night, the first thing I'm going to say about this, if you care about your father and these tables, why are you leaving them out there on Cloudy Pass unattended? Robin and Cody have 4 acres of land where their house is sitting. The McMansion is sitting on 4 acres of land. Then they own an additional 2 acres right next to that. So you have 6 acres of land that you can put those tables outside of your property, so you can enjoy those tables that your father built for you. And instead of you doing that, you leave the tables out there on Cloudy Pass. My question is, why are you leaving them on Cloudy Pass, where they could be destroyed? Where because there's no fences up at Cloudy Pass. The kids can come in and they could ride through there, and like neighborhood kids can go through. I mean, especially, come on now. I don't know where y'all from, but where I'm at, if there's a patch of woods and enough ground for something to be flat, kids will figure out how to get a keg there. Okay. And stuff will get destroyed. So why would you risk that? Like you use your common sense. Use your common sense. Why would you do that to yourself? And then what, it gets destroyed? That's something your father built, he passed. That's something he left you. And if it gets destroyed, it can't be replaced. Protect yourself. Be smarter than college kids. Be smarter than high school kids. I'm just saying. That's just me. Like, if it's something that was important to me, I will put it somewhere where I can protect it. Another thing, if you guys give a damn about wood, Cody's out there cutting up wood trees and he killing wood, and he's talking about saving Cloudy Pass and possibly having to save it, and maybe he want to sell it, and how he disagree with these women, and every time he talk about it, he pick up an axe and cut a piece of wood. Okay, he's just taking it out on trees. So it would imply that he understands how wood works. And if you understand how wood works, the first thing I would say is looking at those boards and some of the boards that they had as far as those tables were concerned. I didn't really see it, no disrespect to her dad, but if I was going to put together a bench, I would use treated wood. It doesn't look like to me that wood is treated wood. Why do you want to have treated wood? This is like, you could use decking wood, like wood that they would use for decks, or wood that's going to be outside. Why is that important? Because if you use wood that, say, I don't want to be an asshole, but it looks like framing, like wood that you would use for framing a house. You could get it a little cheaper. In all fairness, you can get a little cheaper. And in the lag bolts and all that stuff, it is what it is. But the problem with that is that because it's subject to the weather, especially if it's sitting out there on that plane, when it rains, it snows, and everything else happens out there on that Cloudy Pass, that wood will suck that moisture right up. Then it'll dry out. Then it'll suck the moisture up. It's sitting on the ground, possibly in puddles and snow and everything else. And before long, when they flip that table over, at least in my perspective, and I'm not a master craftsman. I'm merely a woodworker. I do it as a hobby. But it looked to me like a lot of that wood was starting to crack and it started to bow. So a large reason why that happens is because the wood itself isn't treated. Another reason why it happens is because you don't put a protective coating on the wood. So if you want to have the wood out there, you gotta. I'm sorry, I'm going crazy about this. I'm such a nerd, wood nerd. But if you're gonna do that, you basically gotta strip it down. You gotta protect it, put something on it to protect it. Like even if you put paint on it, you have to put some kind of lacquer on top of it to try to protect it, to keep the moisture from getting into the wood. I didn't see them doing that. All I see them doing really is just busy work. I don't like the conversation that Cody had with regard to Robin and all those folks when when he was talking about Mr. Paul, Robin's dad. I think his name was Paul. I might have that wrong. It doesn't feel right. Robin's dad. I know his last name is Sullivan. Yeah, Paul Sullivan. Okay. When she was talking about Paul, one of the dynamics that kind of struck me as curious is that she was so fascinated and so excited about telling Cody, you guys had a special relationship, and your relationship was so special because he told you things that nobody else knew. And so because he told Cody a secret and they had secrets between the two of them, all of a sudden their relationship was special. And I've always had a problem. I've always had a problem with relationships that are based on secrets. Because especially when it comes to kids. Don't even get me started on like kids. My kids don't have secrets with adults. Okay. Full stop. They don't have secrets. You don't have a secret with an adult. All right. Because that always goes wrong. There's no reason why you should have a secret with a damn adult. But when you base your relationships on secrets, a lot of times those secrets are protected by lies. And when I see Robin, and she talked about like when she first came into the family, and she was talking about going to get that dress and taking the women out to go get the dress and going shopping with her for the bridal dress. And then all of a sudden it turned out that Cody went and picked the dress out, and that was supposed to be a secret. And then when she was having Solomon, that was supposed to be a secret. And then when she was having Ariella, and they were trying to figure out whether it was a boy or a girl, that was a secret. And everything was a secret that she was keeping between her and Cody. When she came down, anything that happened in her house was supposed to be a secret. And all these secrets is what helped to destroy this family. Because you can't, when you start building your life around secrets and all that, it starts to create division through deception because you don't want to be the one to reveal your secrets. You're keeping it from people. And that's what I was hearing. One of the other things that was kind of brought up was just the fact that when Robin started talking about her dad and her mom's relationship, I was going to pull the clip, but I have a lot to talk about, a lot of stuff I'm pulling. I don't want to get flagged. TLC might come get my ass, especially after I say this. Robin mama, bless his soul. Whew, that's a rough piece. Like the way she described it, Robin describing her dad, it was creepy as hell. Her thing was, and I'm looking at the quotation that I pulled. She described her relationship with her dad. She said, "Yeah, with my dad, we used to call him Uncle Paul. Then he started, basically he started banging out a mama. So he started banging out Mom Dukes, and then all of a sudden he became stepdaddy. And that's creepy to me on a couple levels. The first thing is that everybody doesn't have to be or have to have a familial title. Everybody isn't your cousin, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, your meemaw, peepaw, grandma, grandpa, pop, mom, all that. Everybody doesn't have to have a special title to signify how close you are in your relationship. I was never a fan of that. If somebody is my friend and I hold you as my friend, to me, the moniker of friend is very special. It has its own place. I have a brother. Okay, my brother is my brother. And my friends are my friends. My friends aren't my brother. Okay, you might call them bros, but they're not my brother. a man who may have influenced me or maybe mentored me when I was a child is just that. He's a mentor, but he's not my father. My father is my father. My mom is my mom. I'll look. When it comes to my mom, I will walk barefoot through a field of broken glass and dip my foot in an alcohol baths before I call another woman mom. Okay? Simple as that. My mother is my mother, and there will be no other woman who will be my mother ever, 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 ever. My mother is my mother, period. And she deserves, my father deserves to have that exalted position of being my mother and my father. That's part of the reason why, like, I'm not, I might be friendly with my kids, but I'm their father because that's a different position. That's a more special position than they friend. They friends are never going to be like me. Why would I want to be like them? That's a demotion. Right? So when it comes to my, like, that kind of thing, I'm not a fan of it. So if a man is around and he's hanging out with your kids, why he gotta be Uncle Paul? Why can't he just be Mr. Paul? He's the family friend, Mr. Paul. And then that way, if you start dating them, like Mom Duke start dating them and going out with them, and eventually they start to develop a relationship. He develops a relationship with Robin, and she feels close enough and at the point where maybe she wants to call him dad or whatever. Everybody's situation is a little different. And I recognize that bonus moms, bonus dads might be called mom or dad based on how that child feels. Okay. I didn't have a bonus mom or dad situation growing up. So I don't have anybody replacing that or stepping into that position. However, I can see a universe where if you have somebody who is filling that role and the child feels that it's appropriate to call that person by a certain moniker, with conversation between the adults and the child and everybody's okay with it, then it is what it is. So at some point, if she wants to call Paul, Robin wants to call Mr. Paul her dad, it is what it is. But just going from like uncle to dad, and just because a man hanging around, he's the uncle. And then what happens when you start arguing with him or you have a disagreement when he's no longer the uncle? And that makes the family, the part of where I have the disagreement is if everybody is part of your family and everybody is a family member, then the title doesn't mean anything. If everybody you come in contact with you who's older than you, it is of a matriarchal influence, and that person is mom, then the word doesn't mean anything. Paternal, patriarchal, paternal influence, dad, doesn't mean anything. Brother, everybody's your brother. It doesn't mean anything. So let's keep the meaning to what it is. All right. Let me see what folks are saying so I don't get lit up. Couple people it feels very forced from B Cat. Uncle Truth hurts. Uncle Sneaky Leg. Yeah. Mama side chick, That's my weekend woman over there. And that was one of the things she had said. She was like, yeah, he would come when they started dating and my mom married him. He would spend Monday through Friday in Las Vegas because that's where he lived. In Las Vegas. Funny how they moved from Utah to Las Vegas where they didn't know anybody except for her family, but it is what it is. So he would spend Monday through Friday in Las Vegas with his wife, and he would spend the weekends at Robin's house. And those families stayed separate. So it's no wonder when she talks about, like, I grew up in polygamy, this is how she practiced polygamy. And this is how she influenced the Brown family, because when she came into the family, they split up. And then when they got back together, they split up again and they just kept splitting up. And part of the confusion I think that she has as to why I don't understand why everybody left and everybody's leaving and why come nobody's going to stay is because in her mind, this is what she's used to. She's used to everybody being around and everybody sticking around and enduring the small amount of time that you would get. In her household, she only got to see her stepfather, twice a week, 2 days a week. The other mother got him 5 days a week. The other kids got their father 5 days out of the week. Unfair, unbalanced, but it makes perfect sense why she doesn't understand why it's not fair and why it's not appropriate for Cody to spend so much time at her house and neglect the other wives and their kids, because that's how she grew up. Right? So, I mean, there was some information, some pretty good information that was passed on. Let me see. Oh, so let me get to this. Let's talk a little Cowdy Pass, and then I'm going to open it up for you guys. I gotta go in. Let me just grab this this link real quick. Will it let me do it? Yes, it will. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about where we are. So for the results of the of the survey says, does Mary want a reason to talk to Cody, and is she using Cowdy Pass as an excuse? 51% of you said yes. 49% of you said no. So this is basically a tie. Okay, so we got people in both parties. That's why I like you guys, because I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time to answer that. So if you want to put in your answer, plug your answer in. Cool beans. I'll leave that open for a little longer. But that's what I'm talking about. See, and here's a beautiful thing about the Sister Wives community. We can all have opinions which differ. Okay, we can all watch the same thing and maybe get a little bit something different. Some people are looking at it and saying, well, Mary couldn't possibly be in love with this man because he's a big jerk face jackass. And other people look at it and saying, yeah, but she loves that jerk face jackass. You know, she is in love with him, you know, and I can see both sides of it. Jay Lewis said she still wants favor. Yeah, because it's not about a favorite. It's about finding favor. This the flavor that they savor down here, neighbor. So yeah, I don't disagree. And that's kind of the thing. Alaska Van Ars, that to them, any attention is good attention. And this is kind of how Cody was able to punish them. And this is something that we talk about all the time on the channel. One of the weird things about how they go about it is that the reward system is basically, I'll come around to your house. The punishment system is, I won't come around to your house. And when you're coming around, as we'll get into in a little bit, it's not just that I'm coming around in my physical form. If I'm Cody, it's not my physical form that's coming around. It's also my resources. It's also the money. So if your kids need shoes, if you have to pay some bills, then you want to be on my good side so that those things can get paid. And this is all like part of the power dynamic that we talk about in these relationships, and why these relationships can be so damaging and so devastating, not only to the parents, but to the kids, because the kids, their livelihoods, their ability to access those resources are all dependent on whether their mom is liked or not by their dad. So if mom is in there messing up and she's not on dad's good side, then all of a sudden I can't go to the prom. I can't get my sneakers paid for. I can't get my activities paid for. I can't be on the soccer team because I got to pay $50 worth of dues, or the football team, or the wrestling team, or the away team for wrestling. Wrestling can be an expensive sport because monetarily it can be a little pricey, and that's what they do The Brown family was doing a lot of wrestling. Cody did wrestling. Hunter was like a state champion. I think Cody was a state champion too. Logan, I think, also wrestled. I think some of the other kids wrestled. That is not only a monetarily expensive thing, not as bad as hockey. Hockey is crazy. Okay. But it's a time investment because wrestling is all weekend. Like, if you ever know anybody who wrestled, wrestling is all weekend. The tournaments are crazy. Like you're basically doing that. That's what you do all weekend. So we have that. But yeah, let's talk about, we're gonna have to talk about this dang on Coyote Pass, y'all. This Coyote Pass stuff is crazy. This Coyote Pass stuff make you drink. But I think that Coyote Pass is important to see. I think Coyote Pass is important to see because with the Coyote Pass situation, we get to talk about like the importance of making sure things are done properly from the beginning and how you can like how things can play out if you don't take the steps to make sure that you're protecting yourself. Because what we're watching is the result and culmination of a lot of trust that went into these relationships on behalf of Christine, Mary, and Janelle. They trusted Cody. They believed in him. And there's reasons why this happened that we'll get into in a moment. But they trusted him, they believed in him, and because of that trust, that belief, and the fact that they did the right thing by their relationship. Because I don't think it's a bad thing that you trust and believe in your partner. I don't think it's a bad thing that you believe your partner is not going to screw you over and that you guys can take risks and chances with each other. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it becomes a bad thing when you are trusting somebody who is not is not worthy of the trust that you bequeath to them. And that's where I think Cody is at. Like I don't think he's deserving of the trust that they give to him. But Ivana, Live for Love, she had a question. I have a question. What does it mean mid-season finale? What it means is that they're going to break this up into two sections. So we're finishing or we're completing the first half of this season. It's probably they're going to take a little break, in my belief. I could be wrong, but from my suspicion, they're going to take a break for the Super Bowl Sunday. So they probably don't want to compete with that, which makes sense because that could kill your numbers. So they don't want to compete with the Super Bowl Sunday, and then they'll start right back right after the Super Bowl. So they'll take a little break. They'll start right back after the Super Bowl Sunday. Now, in fairness, from what I understand, it did sound like they shot a tell-all. So, with that being said, they might have done a mid-season tell-all because they have done that in the past. I think it was season 2 or 3. There's two tell-alls. There's a tell-all mid-season and a final tell-all at the end of the season. So we might be getting a tell-all because from what I understand, Mary was upset. She went on social media and said that she was upset because she was unaware that Cody had said that she needs to ditch those bees, referring to Jen and her other friends and their advice. If she wants to be happy in a relationship, she needs to ditch those bees. So Mary said that she was unaware and TLC did not tell her about that. So going into the tell-all, when they filmed the tell-all, she didn't know about it. And that would be a conversation that clearly she wanted to have. Because I kind of suspect, and this is kind of going back to the poll question, which I'll look at in a moment. Going back to the poll question, Mary might have taken it easy on Cody. Like she doesn't drag him. She has a history of not dragging him the way she could. Because Mary knows where the bodies are buried. She's been there since day one. First wife, first day, first everything. She knows where the bodies are buried. So she could jack Cody up if she really, really wanted to. And I think she's been really, really taking it easy on him. And he's been really, really taking advantage of the fact that she's been taking it easy on him. But he's crossing a lot of lines. So we might see a brand new attitude Mary come the second half of this season. I'm kind of hoping I'm right. I'm kind of hoping that they do a tell-all, mid-season tell-all for this first part. Mary, gives him the benefit of the doubt. He says his nastiness because he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, and obviously she don't have it, because if she had it, she would have used it. So I'm not scared of Mary. And then Mary turns around and gives him every reason why he should have been scared of her. So I'm kind of hoping for that. So we shall see. We shall see. Let's see. Full size Deborah with the $2 super chat. Tell Crobin it's a tell-all, not tell some lies. Yeah, right. Amen to that. It's a tell-all, not tell some lies. Not tell us the story you want us to believe, or tell us a bunch of stuff that ain't true, or tell us what you think we want to hear. Tell us what it is. And the truth shall set you free. The truth shall set you free. Thank you so much, full size Deborah. Appreciate you. Full size is fun size. Holla at your boy. All right, Megatron 719, $2 super chat. $2 super chat. I agree with Robin. Though, call before you come to my house. I gotta tell you, before we jump into the County Pass stuff, I agree with you, Megatron. I'm the same way. I'm not a fan of people just walking up into my house. Okay, I'm not a fan of that. Like, I'm of the school that look. I to this day, right now, I can reach in my pocket and pull my keys out, and on my key ring, I have my parents' key to I have keys to all the doors in their house. Okay. I could right now jump in my car, drive to my dad's house, because he's there by himself. My mom passed away. I could drive out to my dad's house and key into my father's house right now. I won't do it. I will not do it because I don't live there. I don't live there. The only way I'll key into his house is if I think that there's something going on or he needs my assistance. Other than that, if I go over to this day, if I go to his house, I will ring that doorbell. When I go to his house, I ring the doorbell and I wait for him to come to the door, answer the door. That's the way I roll. And my mom, I remember before she passed, she used to get on me all the time. James, I gave you a dang on key for a reason. You lived here for I don't know how, your whole life you lived here just about until you moved out. Why don't you just key into the house? That's why I gave you a key. No, Mom, because I don't live here. I don't live here. So it's not appropriate for me to, key into your house. And not to mention, y'all grown folk. I'm not trying to walk up in there and see what y'all doing, what y'all getting into. Y'all ain't gonna scar me that way. No, thank you. Okay? You healthy adults. I am not trying to see something I can't unsee. You know, they're trying to pour bleach in my eyes. And, oh, please, no, please. Yeah, no, thank you. So, yeah, I knock on the door first. I'll ring the doorbell, and I'll stand out there and I'll wait. Then I'll call. If I don't hear nothing, I'll call. Hey, I'm out front. But no, thank you. I think a few times, come on in the dang on house. Okay, use your key. Go in. But nope. I don't just go by and just walk up in there. But thank you guys so much for the super chats. Let me give you a little something. Thank you so much. All right. But was this Tracy McMurray? Same James, my parents lived in my childhood home, and I had all the keys, and I still knocked before I came into the house. Who knows what could be going on in there? I do not want to see. I'm telling you, amen. I do not want to see it. Some things I'm okay with going to my grave, with not knowing certain things. Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it. I'm a curious person, but I don't need to know that. Let's just run through this thing, and then we're going to get into you guys. I want to give you guys plenty of time to be able to come up if you so desire. Don't feel pressured. Don't feel like you have to, but please, by all means, we're going to run this. We're going to go for 2 hours. So I'm trying to keep limited because anybody who comes on my night show knows that historically I've been going crazy. I got to try to limit it because it gets crazy. It'll get crazy. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to be able to come up, and we'll try to get as many people as possible. It's going to be awesome. No pressure, no stress. But the survey, we're going to close that down. But the survey, guys, I got to tell you, the needle has not moved. Does Mary want a reason to talk to Cody? And is she using Coyote Pass as an excuse? Survey says yes, 51%. No, 49%. And that, my friends, is what I would consider to be pretty much dead even. Okay, dead even. So we're making trying. Oh wow. So yeah, that's not look. Some people believe that she's trying to get the freaky league going, rekindle that flame. Other people think that she's not doing that, you know. But yeah, I'm a big fan of and again, like I don't live in the kind of family that they have where they're supposed to have like 3, 4 moms and like a bunch of kids all living together and stuff. So maybe it's a little different. They're all brothers and sisters living in the same area. If you're under the same roof, maybe that's a little different. But coming in hot from like out in the street. No, 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 no. I call before I haul. I just don't show up to people's houses. I don't surprise people. And I appreciate when people call me before they just show up to my house and start banging on the door, knocking on the door. Like if you're going to like it's just I don't know. That's just the way I was raised. Like you show up to people's houses, you call them before you show up to their house and let them know you coming. When I get there and I ring the doorbell, it's because they knew I was coming. You know, so it is, it is what it is. I guess it depends on how close you are to people or whatever, what relationship you have. Like I could probably stop it on my brother, but again, you don't know what people got going on. I don't know what he has popping. Like you might have somebody over at the house, he might be entertaining, you know. And here you come knocking on the door. Hey, how you doing, buddy? You know, you don't get your ass out of here. Super chat from Valerie Curley. $1.99 super chat, no message, just the love. You gotta love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm gonna give you a little something on the way up, and then we're gonna talk about this dang on couch. Yeah, I was looking for Megatron. Megatron said, I'm from the South. You can easily hear a click and a boom real quick, just busting into people's houses. That's what I'm saying. Like I had them Southern roots too. Like, you know, I I had a buddy. He was from Annapolis, which isn't South. It's like not crazy South. It's Southern, but it's not South. It's South, but not Southern. So his grandfather guy was going over to his granddad's house and he was knocking on the door, boom, 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 boom. And his grandfather was a little hard of hearing. And all he heard, like he's out there banging on the door. He's like, who is it? He said, it's me, Charlie. All you hear is he loaded up. Who? He's stalling him on the porch. But it's Charlie. Who? Charlie. And click, click. And he drives off the porch. Boom, goes right through the door. He blows one through the door. It's Charlie. Oh, I'm sorry, boy. Get in here. You should have called before you get. Look, that's the Southern experience. That go ahead and call before you come in and let them know you coming. Don't just show up banging on the doors, especially like they think you're trying to break up in there. But not that I'm condoning any violence. Don't be trying to blow through doors. That's ridiculous. All right, guys. But that was a survey. We ended the survey. So let's talk about this Coyote Pass stuff a little bit. Because that, to me, that was like the big meat and potatoes of the episode. Because they're really trying to push this Coyote Pass narrative. They're really pushing it. And it deserves some attention. It deserves some attention. Let's give it the attention that it deserves. So there's a point where again, Janelle had previously went out to talk to Mary, and she wanted to have the conversation with Mary and try to warn Mary about what was going on with Cody in his Coyote Pass land, right? And Mary seemed like she was a little resistant to Janelle's warning. Janelle says, we might have to lawyer up. You feel like you need to lawyer up? You feel like we can't trust each other? That kind of thing. And so Mary put up a wall because, again, I think Mary was in a position where she was actually hoping that she could still trust Cody and she could still trust Robin because they had a friendship and a relationship. But in this particular clip, based from this episode, Mary gets a little bit of a reality check. And Janelle provides that reality check. And this is what I've been saying the whole time. And then we're gonna talk a little bit of numbers tonight.
There's no protection, Mary, especially for you. You're on one piece. You would get a third. In technicality, you get a third of one of those pieces. And that's not fair, right?
No.
And because there's really not a whole lot of legal agreements, but there were like family relationships. I mean, like there's a lot I think that we can stand on.
Yeah, there's things that we did because we were family and we at that time worked together.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they're kind of talking about. And that's a huge boon as to why I think Janelle is really approaching Mary and she really needs Mary. It's not just like, I think that Janelle is trying to be fair. She's trying to help Mary out. I do think that that's baked into the cake. But there's also a point where I think that her attorney might have told her that without Mary's testimony, without Christine's testimony, Janelle might get screwed. Because at that point, it goes from Janelle's word against Cody and Robin's understanding as to what happened. And that's what it is. It's not just what they said, but it comes down to what the understanding was. What was the understanding? You could say, well, it's implied because of A, B, C, D, E that this is what it was supposed to be. And if Cody and Robin come back and say, yeah, but that's not how it was supposed to work. It was never supposed to work that way. Even though we pooled our money together, it doesn't mean that we were all contributing equally to certain things. So when Janelle put her money in, I used Janelle's money to pay my mortgage. But I used my money that should have went to the mortgage to save so that I could make a payment or purchase of Coyote Pass. Because I wanted to purchase a big swath of Coyote Pass in my name. And this is kind of where we start to get into some of the nitty of the gritty. And I do appreciate when they talk about like how the family used to function, because I do think that that's a point that's very important. When they talk about how the family functioned, how they conducted themselves, that can be an important note. But it's conflicted, and more to the point, there's a counterpoint of what do the documents say? And the documents are so critical and so important because in a lot of ways, the only thing that really, really matters is what the document says. Because Cody was able to go down to down to City Hall and put his name on each one of the pieces of property and decide that this one is getting a big piece, this one's getting a little piece, and this is how we're going to divide the property up. That allows him cover in saying that he owns or has a majority of the property. This is what the property breakdown looks like. As you can tell, Cody, Christine, and Robin have 5.16 acres at $300,000. Cody, Janelle, Mary have 4.48 acres at $180,000. Robin and Cody have 2.42 acres at $170,000. Janelle and Cody have 2.42 acres at $170,000. Now, I'm going to get rid of, let me stop this banner for a second. And down at the bottom, you can see where it says total cost of the land is $820,000. Total acres, 14.48. Now, why is that important? Why is that so important? That's important because, let me close that down. That's important because that shows you who owns what and whose name is on what. As you can tell, Christine, since she pulled her name off, Cody and Robin own a huge part of Coyote Pass. And it's ridiculous. And with him basically saying this is the land that I own and assigning the property, it becomes a question of timing. Timing becomes critical when they're describing this and they're going to mount their defense. When Mary and Janelle mount their defense about Coyote Pass, timing in this is going to be incredibly important. And I think that's why Janelle is pressing Mary to let's get things moving, let's get things popping. So when they had that conversation, Mary or Janelle actually said something that I thought was very key. And she was talking about Mary getting her own lawyer and how fast or quickly she needs to start moving. Let's take a listen.
I did talk to my lawyer and they felt like it would be good for you to have your own firm. And so you're talking to somebody too? Okay, good. I'm glad. It just makes sure it gets done fairly, and in a timely manner, because I think he could just drag his feet if he wanted to.
That's why I said we need to do this by such and such a date. Let's come up with a date.
Yeah, and today's that day.
I was thinking today was the day. And
good job, Mary. Today's that day.
Exactly. Today's that day. Today's the day we need to get it popping. And part of the reason why it's so important for Janelle to get married, to start moving on this, is because it's all about timing. It's all about timing. One, when Janelle says that she spoke to her lawyer and her lawyer told her that, and this is something we talked about last night, her lawyer conveyed to Janelle that it's important that Mary gets her own attorney, because Janelle's lawyer can't represent Mary in her interest because they have conflicting interests. Because if you look at the way the land is laid out, with Janelle's name appearing on 2 parcels, Mary's name only appearing on 1 parcel, and she only has a third of that parcel because it's Cody, Janelle, and Mary, then for the lawyer to represent Mary in that case, he potentially could be taking land away from Janelle. So Mary needs to have somebody who's going to represent her own interests. Much like when Cody said that he was down talking to an attorney, that attorney that he was speaking to, because he was not married to these women, legally married to these women, he didn't have any relationship with them other than the fact that he fathered children with them, which creates no legal binding relationship or legal protection. So any attorney or any representation he gets, whether it's an attorney, whether it's a real estate agent, whether it's an assessor, anyone, they don't represent everybody. A real estate agent would have to get sign-offs from everybody to represent everybody to contract the land, to put the land up, to sell the land. That's true. But when he's consulting with these people, they're consulting with him. They represent him and his interests. So that's something that they have to keep in mind. Also, in my mind, one of the key things for them to try to pursue is to make sure that they get this stuff taken care of as quick as possible. Why? Because the longer it sits on the books incorrectly, the harder it's going to be for them, Janelle and Mary, to go back and reverse it. The harder it's going to be for them to say, no, this is done in error. I don't know why he did this. This is wrong. But especially if it's been this way for years. And then, of course, the question is, and this is kind of where I'm like, you kind of dropped the ball a little bit. When they handed him an additional check, which we will get into in a moment, when they handed him an additional check and they didn't insist that the names are changed at that point, the question would be, well, if the title of the property is wrong on the lots, why didn't you ask him to change it before you gave him additional money? It was wrong when you paid, you say you didn't know anything about it when you paid the initial money, but then you went back and gave him additional money, knowing full well it was wrong. So why would you pay him twice? Or why would you pay the land off? And we'll get into that in a moment, because I want to be very clear. Like when you look at the numbers and you rearrange it and you cut the fat off a lot of this stuff, it's jacked up. Like this is really jacked up. So when we talk about it, let's talk about what Janelle is actually trying to prove. Janelle, why is it so important for her to come in and get Mary on board, get the attorneys cracking, get everything moving forward. Why is that so important? Let's take a listen to what Janelle had to say.
I am trying to collect all the documentation I need to explain to the lawyer what happened as far as the payment on the land, because I'm going to have to prove that it was really kind of our joint funds that paid the bulk of the property. And therefore, we should be entitled to split it 4 ways, despite how it's really actually titled on the land.
And this is where it gets weird, because now it turns into their word against Cody's word, because the documentation says one thing, but the way that they proceeded as a family, how they interacted as a family, is something different. Now, some people could argue that you could use film footage from the TV show as an example of how the family functioned, but the problem with that is these aren't sworn statements. Cody could easily go in and say, look, those agreements, those comments were merely fodder and storyline for the show to make the show more interesting. The same way I've said before, and you can ask Mary, we've been having problems in our relationship well before we started filming for the show. And when we get on the show, we pretend like we're deeply in love and we can't keep our hands off each other. So much so, I even talked about having a baby with this woman who I can't stand and I never loved. So that becomes problematic. And this is part of the reason why Janella has to put these documents together. She has to show hopefully through the documentation of how they pay their bills. And I think that's what she's focusing on, how they pay the bills, the money that goes in from the into the family fund, where it came from, how it grew, and how it was distributed, whether it was through bill payment or whatever. And so I think that's part of what they're doing. Let me look through as I'm going through. We're going to take a little break, going to talk about some super chats, because I saw some super chats come through and I want to make sure I get those. We have Jenny Jack coming through with the $9.99 super chat. I was over at TT and someone brought up the date on Janelle's screen during the meeting with Mary 05/01/24. This means G's passing was recent and Janelle still dealing with Cody being sketchy over Cody Pass. Wow. And that's terrible. Especially in light of the fact, thank you, Jenny Jet. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the super chat. But that's terrible. And that shows you the level of person that they're actually dealing with. That he's so focused on the money and the advantage and the financial advantage that he's trying to get from hoarding this money and hoarding this land and this property. Part of what I understand, and again, this is just rumors, this is just something I can't confirm it one way or another, but part of what I understand to be the reason why the family fell apart and the reason why there was such an explosion after Big G's passing and his funeral was that at some point during the services, Robin supposedly went back and started asking what was going to happen with Big G's estate, like his house and things of that nature, things of value. What were they going to do with it? And essentially, was Cody and her going to get their cut of G's stuff? And we have to keep in mind that at this time, if you're not talking to this young man and you didn't support him and help him to get these things, I don't understand why you would even talk about getting it and why you would even bring it up. One of the big things that my mom had always talked about, my mom and my dad had always talked about when we were coming up, was the importance of not being a ghoul. Okay, when you sit around and you worry about what somebody passes away and you're worried about how much of their stuff you're going to get, that shit is ghoulish, especially if you're doing it over top of their casket. Okay, they're not even in the ground yet, and you arguing over what you going to get or how much you going to take of their stuff. That's ridiculous to me. It's not only ridiculous, it's downright reprehensible. Okay, if I told my parents, my mom, she was before she had passed, I told her, like, she said, oh, we're saving the money and this, that. And I told her, and I insisted to my parents, I said, look, whatever you guys have, you take and you guys enjoy it. You go on vacation, you guys spend time with each other. Don't sit here and worry about me. I'm fine. I'm doing okay. All right. You take the things that you've acquired over the course of your life, the pensions and all that you have, the savings, the stocks, whatever you have, you take and you guys enjoy it with each other. Go on trips, go see the world. Okay, because I guarantee you, if you don't spend that money, I will. So you might as well take and enjoy that money for yourself. I don't want to sit here and I'm not waiting for you to pass. If I could look, I'm gonna tell you, I tell you like this. If my mom had $100 million, $100 million cash money, and somebody said to me, James, I'll give you this 100 million, or I'll give you an afternoon where you can sit and talk to your mother. I will take that afternoon every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Every damn day of the week and twice on Sunday. I'll take that afternoon, 3-4 hours just to sit there and have a conversation with my mother. That's more important to me than any money that she could possibly lend me or leave me. And with Cody and them, you guys are still arguing with your children over freaking money. Okay, money money is important. I'm not gonna say all money ain't shit. Money is important, okay? But money is not the end all and be all. It's not everything. And when your mind and your life is so wrapped up into what you have, what you driving, where you living, where you vacationing, what you got on your back, and you're not worried about the relationships that you have and maintaining those relationships and keeping those relationships healthy, then there is something wrong with you. The reason why you can't seem to fill that empty ass hole in your soul is because you're filling it with bullshit instead of filling it with the things that are important and valuable to your life and to your existence on this plane. I can respect the fact that Cody is out on County Pass with his kids and he's talking about crazy stuff like how many kids you're going to have, and I'm going to tell you how many kids you can have. I can respect the fact that he's trying to build memories with Robin's kids, but you have other kids than Robin's kids. You have more kids than that. You have the other 3 women that you spent most of your life with, 30 years of your life. That's most of your adult life you spent with these women. You could build a relationship with them. You don't have to be screwing them in order to have a relationship with them. That's a very childish mentality that you actually have to have sex with somebody in order for you to have a relationship, or you have to be involved with them romantically in order for you to have a relationship. You can have a relationship with them outside of the fact that, look, you guys are good people. At some point, I thought you were a good person. That's why I gave you 6 kids apiece. Christine and Janelle. I thought you were a good person. That's why we got married when we were 19 years old. Mary, you can do these things. But, I mean, you're wasting time. But thank you so much, Jenny Jet. I appreciate you. And I agree with that. I agree with that. That's crazy. Okay? That's something that Janelle had to deal with at the time when she's dealing with the loss of her child. That's insane. The beach, at the beach, 999 super chat. No message, just the love. Appreciate you. Super chat. Appreciate you. Let me give you ladies a little something, you folks a little something. Hold on one second. Let me get a little something. Yeah, because you're out this world. All right. But let me circle this down so that way we can get to you guys' phone calls. So we talked about like proving County Pass payment and the importance of them trying to prove County Pass payment, because that's very important. How you paid for this, where the money came from. And that's one of the key things that I think Janelle is actually working with. She could actually show and demonstrate where the money came from, and that will help her in this suit. Because if the money primarily came from the family account, or even if it didn't directly come from the family account, he takes out, say, $20,000 from the family account, deposits said $20,000 into his personal account, then writes a check for $25,000 to pay on County Pass as a down payment, then yeah, that is from the family account, bro, and it's going to be easily discovered. Like I kind of have the feeling that Cody isn't necessarily operating on like the mastermind level of evil. Like I think it's going to be something silly, like he's going to take it and put it into a checking account, or he's going to go down to the local check cashing place and try to get like spend $40 to get checks, cashier checks, or what they call them, shits, the checks you get from the check cashing place the money orders. Like he gonna go down and get a bunch of money orders. That was my money. That's how you wind your ass up in jail, bro. You better be careful. And I know if Hunter was there, he said,
"Settle down, Johnny Appleseed."
He was settle down, Johnny Appleseed. So you have to prove the Coyote Pass payment. But then, why is it so important that these ladies start to take the initiative immediately? Why is this so important? And this is something that came up last night during my live. And one of the callers called in, dropped this little nugget, and blew my damn mind because I hadn't thought about it when I watched the show. But we're going to get into it in a moment. When they talked about like why it's so important, this is why it's so important that they start making moves immediately to secure their interest in Coyote Pass.
What I need to do is be reminded every spring to come in and roll just a new coat on the top.
Yeah, but I don't know if we'll have this property next spring. I keep wondering every time we're out here if this is the last time we're going to be out here. That's a kind of a hard thought.
That's a good point, but every time we talk like that, I start thinking about a way that we would keep the pond.
Let's just not go there, dear. That's just.
How are we gonna keep the pond? Let's not go there, dear. Let's not go there. Shush your mouth. Somebody made an excellent point last night. It said, look, the reason why, if you recall, there's a point where Robin will always try to shush and shut Cody down. When he starts talking too damn much, she tried to shut him up because he about to get a game up. Cody, like I said, he's not the Mr. Mephisto. Like he's not the one that's, masterminding these big plans. He's the guy that's going to start standing there monologuing. I'm going to do all the evil stuff, and this is how it can be defeated. If you push this red button, you can stop all of it. Like he's that kind of evil guy. So I can see him going down to the check cashing place or depositing family money into his personal account and writing a check from his personal account and then trying to figure out how everybody is figuring out how he stole the money. Like, I don't understand how they keep catching me. So I can see that. But when Robin said, Cody, be quiet. And what did he say? He said, I want to try to figure out how we can keep the pond. How we can keep the pond. And there was one point where I should have pulled a clip where Cody said, talking to the real estate agent, there is a plot of land over there. There's one of the lots that I paid for all by myself. I own it. I paid it off all by myself. And there's 4 lots, and the way it's divided, I said to myself, self. Okay, he must be talking about one of the smaller lots, the 170 lots. Lots for 170. But no, folks, I think he's talking about that big piece. I think he's talking about that big piece of land. How do I mean? James, what do you mean? Because if we get in the Wayback Machine and we look back to when they first paid off the land, because initially, when they first bought Coyote Pass, there were 2 lots that they paid off right off the top. And then the lots that they were talking about that were still outstanding were the 2 smaller lots. And a lot of that money, from my understanding, was from the home sales that came in from these ladies selling their homes. That's where the money came from Coyote Pass. Now, what does it look like when we were talking about what was paid off and what was owed? They've paid all of it off as we know right now where we are in the series. They paid it all off. But when we go back into the Wayback Machine, what did it look like? It looked like this. Here on the right, you see that Cody, Mary, and Janelle have the plot for $180,000. That was paid off. Then you have the plot next to it with the pond that was Cody, Robin, and used to be Christine. That was bought for $300,000. Then you have on the far left 2 plots that were Robin and Cody, $170,000. Payment was required. Then you had Cody and Janelle, $170,000. Payment was required. Now, when we look at this part of it is very important because I think the part that they're talking about was the land with Cody and Robin. The land with Cody and Robin, let me 1 second. The land with Cody and Robin becomes critical because as you look at it and you think about it, he said, Robin and I gave Christine the money for her house when she purchased her house. That's how he described it. He said, Robin and I gave Christine the down payment for her house. That's how she bought her house. So when Christine was ready to sell her house, what did Cody say? He said he was entitled to half of her property, half of that home, because him and Robin had put money in. That was Cody and Robin's money that went to help Christine get into the house. He should have half the house because they were getting a divorce. She was trying to leave. That's money that they were going to use to pay off Coyote Pass. So when she signed Coyote Pass over to Cody and Robin, he sees that as his property. So when he talks about saving the lake, the piece of land that he's talking about is that big ass piece of land that he used to have with Christine that was paid off. He thinks that land is all his. Now, when you do the breakdown, and this is where it gets crazy, folks, and this is what I was talking about. When you start looking at the numbers and you break it all down, we'll keep in mind that originally the purchase price was $820. When you break down the division of the land using, math, this is what it comes out to. Cody and Robin get $618,000 where their name appears on the land. They get $618,000, right? I'm going to pull this back up. They get $618,000. Janelle is entitled to $145,000. Mary would only receive $60,000 of all that land. That is insane to me. That is insane, because that doesn't take into account that Cody and Robin clearly did not put $615,000 on Coyote Pass and then turn around and put money down on the McMansion. Because how are you guys walking around with that much more money than everybody else? How are you guys getting that much more money? And the wives don't get anything that belongs to Cody. They're not entitled to anything that Cody has. He's only entitled to their stuff according to him. This is part of the insanity of this type of relationship. And then when they asked, about the money, about how the money is being spent, how the money was put in and where the money went. This is what both Janelle and Cody had to say in the clips during the course of the show.
I was a father to 18 and a husband to more than just Janelle. So we had a lot of places that money needed to go that weren't always Janelle's business. But Janelle was doing the bookkeeping, so some of the bills to be paid by all of us were supposed to be paid by her.
Right. And this is the first part of the damn setup. All of a sudden, the bills that were supposed to be paid were supposed to be paid by Janelle. I had money coming out, but I had other responsibility, 18 kids that I had to take care of. And that was none of her business. Not taking into account, jackass, 6 of those kids were hers. What are you talking about? The other 6 were Christine's. You weren't paying for Christine's kids because she's talking to Christine. That's part of the reason why Christine left. You weren't paying for Janelle's kids because that's Janelle. She knows whether she's getting money or not. So that's 12 of your 18 kids. Leon is already out the house. And unless you slip in Leon like crazy money, you aren't taking care of Leon. Leon's pretty much taking care of themselves. Then that only leaves the other 5 kids, which would be Robin's kids, which means you're stealing the money. That's what that means. You're stealing the money. What are you talking about? It doesn't make sense. And even if you're saying that Janelle was in charge of keeping the books and maintaining the books, how is she going to be in charge of the books and you're going to tell her that where the money is going and what the money is being spent on is none of her business? I can't be a proper accountant if I can't account for the money that's leaving the account. What are you talking about? How am I supposed to properly audit the money that's in the account if I don't know where the money is going or how the money is coming in or when the money is leaving and who the money is being spent on, if the money is being spent appropriately, if the money is being mismanaged? This has mismanaged written all over it. So when we talk about like the attorneys and stuff, this is where it gets crazy. This is where it gets crazy. And this is why I think it's so important that they get attorneys. And it's not just so that they can, because I know a lot of the creators, my fellow creators, will talk all the time that, you know, we check all the time and we don't see any complaints filed. There's no cases that have been initiated. Attorneys can do so much more than just fight litigation and fighting trials for you. An attorney has the ability to make that first phone call. Now, when it comes to Mary and that first question I asked early on, whatever reason Mary wanted to get in touch with Cody, that's wrong. You don't get in touch with Cody. When you get to a point where you say, you know what, I need to get an attorney, and you get attorneys involved, your phone calls, ex parte communications cease. You no longer reach out to that person. You know why? That's your attorney's job. You let your attorney earn their money. You let them call them, because all you can do is mess up the plan. You're going to mess the plan up if you start getting in there trying to talk and be friends and shit. That time is done. Okay, when you have to hire an attorney, the fact that they made you get an attorney tells me that time is over. There's no more discussion. Whatever we decide to do, they can formalize it and we'll have it done officially. It'll officially be completed. So at that point, Mary, Janelle, have your attorneys contact Cody. And then what I would recommend, at least in my mind, if I was in Janelle and Mary's position, I would consult with my attorney and I would ask them to do the following. I would ask them to call Cody, and if he has an attorney, contact his attorney and inform them that you will drag their asses out financially. Because when you're dealing with this type of litigation, this is not contingency fee litigation. This is not like the slip and fall accident litigation you see on TV. You know, if you've been in a car accident, I'm going to get you paid. And if I lose, you ain't got to pay me. That's not this kind of litigation. This is the type of litigation where I have to stroke out a check to an attorney to get that attorney to do anything, to make a phone call, to draft a letter, to take 5 minutes, to consider my case, even make my case file up for his office. I have to write him a check. So when I write him a retainer check, usually for this type of case, you're probably going to write him a check out for at least $10,000 to $20,000. Okay? When you write him that retainer check and he calls the other attorney, Cody's attorney, he calls Cody up and he tells Cody, with this amount of money you're looking at for Cody's cut, he's looking at $615,000. Sir, by the time we get done with you, you guys are let's break this down. 820 divided by 5. You're looking at 164 a piece, $164,000 a piece. Sir, by the time we get done with you, we're going to take out your ass at least $80,000 in legal bills. So, with that being said, you would be better off just reaching a settlement with my client. That's what I would hope my attorney would say. You're better off reaching a settlement with my client where you give them the $164,000. You guys divide it 4 ways, the 820 or whatever you're selling the property for. You divide it the 5 ways, and let that be that. Everybody go on about their business with the money. If not, Mary's attorney is going to file a complaint. Cody's attorney is going to have to file a response. Janelle's attorney is going to file a complaint. Cody's attorney is going to have to file a response. Mary's attorney is going to file a motion. Cody's attorney is going to have to file a response. Janelle's attorney is going to have to file a motion. Cody's attorney is going to have to file a response. And every time he do that, that's just ringing up the bell. That's ringing up the tab. And so what you do is you make litigation in this instance prohibitive on Cody's behalf. You make it expensive for him to want to go and fight. So if you want to go to court and tell his dumbass story, you're more than welcome to come to court and tell this story. But it's going to cost you a lot of money to do so. And that's what very well may be happening behind the scenes. So it might not be a matter where you see a lot of complaints coming out and you see like answers and all that, and an actual court case has been filed. But there actually may be negotiations going on behind the scenes with regard to this. And that's what I would imagine is happening, because that to me, that would be the most beneficial way for Mary and Janelle's attorneys to do it. Because if they go to court, the whole thing is there's two fronts or two frames of thought in my mind. And again, anybody who's an attorney can comment on this, especially if you're barred in Arizona, please comment. But in my mind, for Janelle and Mary, I keep wanting to say Christine for some reason. Janelle and Mary, you want to try to make it clear cut as to what happened, how the family conducted themselves, how the money grew, where the money came from to purchase the property. It came from the family fund. Who contributed to the family fund? What was the family fund for? Very clear, very sharp. Cody, he wants to muddle everything. His job, or at least in my suspicion, when they do their strategy meeting, their strategy is going to basically involve time. You want to have as much time between the time that you purchase the property in full to the time that any action is filed. You also want to you want to muddle all issues. You want to create so much confusion that a court doesn't want to get into the weeds of how the money was spent, where the money came from, who spent the money, who had access to the money. You try to make it seem like this big to-do-da. And it's so confusing, it's so ridiculous, and it came from anywhere, and it was so haphazard, and there was no rhyme or reason as to how we did things. That's how I would imagine that Cody's attorney would try to pursue it. Because if you can do that, then the only thing they can rely on is what the paperwork says. And if the paperwork says that Cody and Robin own $615,000, if they sold the property for what they bought the property for, no win, no loss, they sold it for $820,000, all of it, Robin and Cody will walk away with $615,000 of that. Janelle will walk away with $145,000 of that. And Mary will walk away with a measly $60,000. And I kind of suspect that she probably wrote a bigger, like at least half of that in the check that she wrote when she went over to the house. She probably went over there with a bigger check than $30,000 when she sat there and she got invited into the house to help pay off the rest of Coyote Pass. But the last thing I wanted to talk about was basically Cody and the kid math, since he basically told Janelle, don't worry about it. It's none of your damn business what I do with my kids and how I deal with my kids. This is how Cody was talking about kid math when it came to his daughters and their potential for having children, which is, it is what it is. How many kids you're going to have, and this is how many kids you have, and this is how Cody figures parents to child ratios work.
So if you had 4 kids, your parent to child ratio with a husband would be 2 to 1. Okay?
Dad.
Thank you. But our family, 5 parents, 18 kids, our ratio was 3.5 to 1. Because your mom...
3.5 kids is by yourself is a lot.
I know that some people really want that, so.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to choose.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to choose because you have power, young lady. As I'm actively trying to screw these women over. You're ridiculous, sir. 1, 2, we had like a ratio of 3.5 kids per parent. Yeah, that's if you were involved. Because you had 6 kids to 1 when it came to Christine, and 6 kids to 1 when it came to Mary or Janelle, and you had 1-on-1 when it came to Mary because you were spending all your time with Robin's house. So over there, it was like 2.5. But when it came to the other folks, the other kids, that wasn't the case. That like the math doesn't math, brother. Like you have to be present in order for that to count. And it's also crazy to me that you're sitting there talking to people where you're spending all your time with them. So maybe it seems like you can fool them as far as how much time a parent spends with a child. But if they have any awareness, which is questionable, if they have any self-awareness or any environmental or situational awareness, they would recognize that, hey, dad is here all the time. And there are at least 13 other children out there that don't see him if he's here all the time. So that means that those other parents are doing it by themselves. Essentially, Janelle, Christine, and Mary were single parents in this household, even though he was there. Even though he wasn't necessarily he wasn't missing or gone, he was still an absentee father. He wasn't present. So that's my thing. I know I went a little long, a little crazy. Let me get to some of the super chats. Then I'm going to open up the lines and I'm going to let you guys call in. And we're going to do that for the last 30 minutes of the show. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So please have your comments and stuff ready. Now, keep in mind, like during my, sometimes during my night show, we got to go a little long as far as the phone calls. If you guys would be so kind, let's try to get as many people as possible. Come in with your points. Make like maybe 1 or 2 good points. I'm going to let you ride on it. And then we're going to jump to the next person just so we can try to get as many people as possible. All right. So I'm going to drop this in the chat. Here's the, that was messed up. Here's the link. All right, guys. I'm having a good time with you guys. Hopefully you're having fun with me too. If you're having a good time, go ahead and hit that like button. Give me a like. Let's get those likes up. I know you guys are having fun. I hope you're having fun. I'm having fun. Why are you not having fun? So I dropped the link in there. You'll pop into the back room and we can have a whole little conversation. All right. But let's just run through some super chats because some people was blessing me with some love. So we're going to run through some of the super chats. You see. Okay. I don't know if I got at the beach with the $9.99 super chat. No message, just the love. Appreciate you. Let's see. Just get along with the $4.99 super chat. S. Campbell is still here from Hawaii watching. Stop with the real name based on your advice. Agreed. Vultures and graves break my heart. Yeah. I can't stand it. Like, because I have family members that family that went crazy over land and property and stuff. Like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting because it's the most not to get on the soapbox too much, but it's the most disrespectful thing you can do for your loved one. If you're there fussing and fighting over money and dollars, then what you're saying about your loved one is that relationship wasn't important to you at all. You're basically saying that money was more important than those valuables were more important or held more value than your loved one. So that's how I kind of take that. So like if my mom, when she passed, or my dad, he still had some stuff, and we gave my dad some between me and my brother, we gave him some between him and my mom some really cool Christmas presents and birthday presents and stuff. So I know they got things at the house, but I'm not going to argue with my brother about that stuff. If he feels like, even if he tries to rip me off, if it's that important to you, you got it. You got it. I'm not arguing with him over that. I can't do it. So, but thank you so much. Just get along. Appreciate you. Love the name. S. Campbell. Hawaii. Gotta love the location. Wish I was in Hawaii. Sue's $9.99 super chat. Loving this. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're having a good time. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me, because that's awesome. Appreciate you guys. Let me go ahead and give you guys a little something. Then we're going to jump into the phone lines, because I want to hear what you guys have to say. And let me know if you guys disagree with me on this channel. If you guys disagree with me, that's fine. This is a conversation. This is not a lecture. I am not saying that I'm a certified expert on the Brown family. Okay, I'm just giving my opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion. So if it differs from mine, that's good too. I just want to hear what you have to say. But thank you guys so much for the super chats. Let me give you a little something. All right. I'm going to have to lengthen that up a little bit because I love that song. All right. Here we go. Coming to the stage, we got Betty. Betty, what's going on? How you
Hey,
doing?
sweetie spy, how you doing? I promise I'll make this quick. So if I talk too fast and you got to slow me down, slow me down.
All
But
right.
on the serious part was on the Coyote Pass property. I'm curious what you think. Like if they used it for collateral, only because coming from personal experience, years and years. I'm old, so you know it was some years ago. My husband and I bought our first home in Memphis, and we bought it for 55,000. And we bought it from a real estate agent. It was her
Mhm.
property, and we lived there 10 years paying into it. I mean, like at that time, we thought $650, which even now, shit, I wish I could, was a good payment. Well, after 10 years, we got a notice that our house had been auctioned
What?
because, yes, even though her husband's name, because she was a real estate agent, she owned the property, never appeared on anything we signed. He
Mhm.
was convicted on the RICO Act of tax evasion and embezzlement and all kinds of shit, and they seized all her properties. Well, the
Wow.
man who bought our property bought it at an auction and tried to charge us $80,000
Mhm.
on a $55,000 home. And I mean, like, thankfully we had to go. I mean, it took us money and a couple of years to get that shit straightened out. He ended up getting 10,000, but
Mm.
we weren't even notified by the government that our house had been seized.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, like it was seized by the government,
Right.
and we were never given a letter. We had no idea till we got a letter from this guy's attorney saying, "Oh, well, our house instead of being 55,000, he was going to charge us 80,000." Like
Mm.
the fuck you, the frick you say.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, we did end up having to refinance. I mean, like we ended up having to refinance the house, do all that. He didn't get 80,000 like he thought he was. But I'm like, we could have bought our own house at auction if we'd even known about it.
Right.
But I just wonder if like they use all that property as collateral and they renege, if that is a possibility that could actually happen to those ladies as well. That they're like, you know what, hey, we're going to seize this property for back taxes and you get nothing. It doesn't matter. Because our real estate agent, her husband's name was not on our any of our papers,
Mhm.
but they still
Right.
took it anyway.
Right.
Uh, I mean, I'm just wondering, like, if they don't get that sold, it may be 10 years down the road. And if they're still involved with him in this property,
Right. Well, because I mean
and
that's part of what I was saying yesterday is that because it is a liability. Like now, whether they can put the house up for collateral, a lot of times, like I said, no underwriter really wants to touch it. Depending on how the house is, not the house, but the land is deeded, you can have what's called a tenancy in common, which gives you the most freedom with regard to your share of the property. So you can sell it, you can leave it, you can will it to who you want to will it to, and the other people on that property don't have a right of survivorship when it comes to the property. So if something were to happen to say like Cody and Janelle own a piece of property together, if something were to happen to Cody, Janelle doesn't automatically get Cody's share if it's tenancy in common. If they have
right,
what's called joint tenancy, then Janelle would have survivorship for Cody. That's just one aspect of it. A lot of times, most lenders won't underwrite a bill or underwrite a loan using property that they aren't able to take all of it, like all seize all of it, um, if it defaults. But they could use that the $615,000 worth of property. I suspect that they use that as partial collateral in order for them to purchase the house that they're living in now.
oh,
I'd be willing to
probably.
bet that they did that.
But I was just wondering, just because, like I said, we did what was called, and we didn't know any better. We were 18 and 19 when we bought that house, the
Mhm.
wraparound mortgage, which, if I would never do now,
Right,
which, at the time they were, oh, okay, well, they own the original loan on the house, and then we bought the house for 55, but they still owed 30,000, but they're taking a portion of what we pay to pay that off, and the rest goes into equity. Well, when the house was seized by the government, we got no notice. I mean, didn't even know it was going to be auctioned. So,
Right.
I mean, like that, I would never do again. Be like, sucker. Give me a real loan. And the only other thing, I'll shut up after this because I know you got a lot of people wanting to call you in on the knocking thing, knock on the door thing. I really think that's just them being kind again, and they're pussy putting around to not say what they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Which, what I mean by that is like my adult children knock on my door, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because most of them live out of town. So, if they're coming, they're knocking on the door and say, "Hey, Mom, I'm here." Or they're
Right.
calling me bored, like we're fixing to head over. And
Right.
I unlock the door. But I think this goes further back to probably even when those children were younger. Because
Right.
if we look back, not even 3 seasons ago, Trudy was 12 and coming to their home. She wasn't coming as a stepchild. She came as a guest in her father and Robin's home.
Right.
When he said, "Well, if you want to spend the night, I'll give you one of my t-shirts."
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's your stepchild in any way, shape, or form, you should have some, at the bare minimum, pajamas, a couple of changes of clothes, maybe an extra set of shoes, and a toothbrush at that home.
Right. Right.
And you
Well,
also had older girls, and not one of them said, "Don't worry about it. Truly, I got some pajamas. You can borrow my pajamas.
right.
I got something you could wear." So it was probably not just Truly, but each and every one of the OG 13 that was never treated as per se a stepchild. So when Robin says she was their mom, no, you're not their mom if they're a guest in your home
Right.
and
Right.
and they're coming to visit their father as a guest in that home,
Right. Right.
which is probably what they really want to say. But and they're being really nice about it, but saying, "Yeah, we don't want to go because we have to knock on the door, be led into the certain room." Why
Right.
don't you just say, "Look, that bitch was not a stepmom. If I have a stepchild that's 12 years old, why in the hell would she have to knock to come in my home? And when she comes in, I don't even have a change of clothes.
Right. Right.
She's bringing a change of clothes." Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, and most, I have kids that I call my grandchildren that are not truly my grandchildren, but shit, they got clothes here,
Mm-hmm.
and hell, half the time they come in and steal half of mine and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" They're taking off with my clothes. My
Right.
daughter is 30 something and still takes my clothes.
Well, I think that it
But I
also
do that fashion.
it also talks about like the frequency in which they come over to the house. So if they come over all the time, they'll have clothes there. If they're rarely there, if ever there, then they don't have clothes there. And so because Truly doesn't have anything there, I would be willing to guess that she probably doesn't come over to the house frequently enough to where she would need a change of clothes or require a change of clothes.
But that's all I'm saying is like with the knocking thing. Now, as adults, of course, knock. I mean, that's respectful as
Right.
adults. But
Right.
this is probably going back some years where
Right.
even as children, they felt like they had to knock on the door, wait to be received. Well, if you're my stepchild, you got to knock on my front door. You got to wait till I come open the door because I don't want to be startled. Give me a break.
Right. Right.
Then you were never my stepmother. I'm just
Right.
simply a guest visiting your home to maybe get to see my father.
Right.
So, I mean, I just really think the whole knocking thing was just them still pussy putting around about what they actually want to say, and they're still not comfortable enough to say it.
Fair play. Fair play.
I mean, I know that sounds ugly, and I don't like adults. Yes, of course you want to knock,
Right. Right.
you know, but
It is
as
what it
children
is.
in the cul-de-sac, I mean, you would expect that they would be running in and out of each other's homes in that cul-de-sac. They shouldn't have been knocking. That was the
Right.
whole point of having the cul-de-sac
Right.
was to make them closer and feel like a family.
No, they were all separate though. It was because even in the cul-de-sac, I think that the Robbins approach was that they were all separate family. So I mean, they try to
So it's
pretend as
just
though it was one family, but Robin didn't want her kids seeing the other moms as moms. She didn't want them fostering relationships. So even though
and
it's
she
what
didn't
they
want to be
said
the
on
mom.
TV, it's not the practice that they maintained in their family. as part of
And
your
then
connection.
one more point, and I swear to God, I'll get up here and shut up because I know you got people waiting going, I wish she'd shut up. When we're talking about the children, they're talking about asking the girls, which just irritates the hell out of me, about how many children they want to have. Like my daughter is 30. She's
Mm,
fixing to get married next year. And I keep telling her that biological clock is ticking. Come on, knock it out, knock it out. Because I'm
right.
wanting a grandchild. I have none biological grandchildren. I wish one of
Mm,
them, I don't even care if it's out of wedlock, just do it.
right.
But, but the first conversations we had was not about how many children she would have, because right now she has none. It was, what about college? What are your career goals? Where do you see yourself? What do you need to accomplish those career goals? Because I'm not always going to be here. I mean, I'll be here as long as I can,
Mm,
but her fiance, I told you, you remind me of him. That's why I always love you like, you're like my son-in-law. Um, but like his future, where they want to go, all the things they want to accomplish, I want to be able to be there for it. But I
right.
didn't hear them talking about, like, okay, what are your college goals? What do as young women, where do you want to go with your own personal growth? Because there's more to being. I mean, like, you can be a mom and still have a career,
Right. Right.
still have goals that you want to achieve, and those
Right.
should have been the first things. What kind of man do you want?
Mm. Well, I mean, before you start talking about how many kids you want, it'd be nice if they actually. I don't even know if they're dating anybody. So, like, the idea of you having conversations about how many children you want ideally is a little it's a little out of place. It's out of sorts
It's creepy.
because you won't even let them go pick a church by themselves. So how are you going to start talking about how many children they want to have? And that's
Right.
also starting to get into like the independence of these young ladies and their ability to span out past their parents. Because if they're still acting as though they have to defer to their parents to make basic decisions, how then do they become moms and parents themselves? Because ultimately, when you have kids, your kids are going to look at you the same way you look to your parents. I mean, the reality of it is when my daughter was born, one of the first things that my mom said to me was, I'm standing there holding my daughter, and she said, she's going to look to you the same way you look to me for answers. She's going to be looking to you for guidance. She's going to be looking to you for answers. And that's your responsibility to make sure that you are able to provide those things to her. And if you're setting your kids up to where they have to defer to you about basic things as far as like what church they want to go to, how many activities they want to participate in, what type of clothes they want to wear, et cetera, et cetera. How then are they in a position to where they can guide or lead somebody else and give somebody else that perspective? They can't. And so I think that they're
Not a chance.
actually, yeah, you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit. If you if you haven't prepared them to be independent, you're setting them up if you're asking them like how many children you want to have. It's just crazy. But let me let you go. I
All
gotta
right, baby doll,
jump
you have
out.
a good night. Thank you for taking all my stuff.
No
You have
worries,
a
no
good night,
worries. Thanks for
sweetheart.
calling in. Appreciate you. Have a good
Love you.
Monday.
You
Be
too,
safe.
sweetie.
All right, thank you. Awesome, awesome. Let me before I jump over to some more calls, I want to make sure I hit some get the super chats out of the way. We got on Mitty with the $2.99 super sticker. What's up, on Mitty? How you doing? I see you. I see you. Then of course we have Susie Q with the $19.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Susie Q. Appreciate you. I see you. County Pass should be divided between 3, considering that Robin has never had a job and is still with Cody. Christine's portion should be equally divided. She didn't just leave Cody, she left the family and left that as an asset. And I 100% agree. At the end of the day, I say that if anything, it's generous. Susie Q, you're better than me. You're generous by saying that it should be divided 3 ways. And I'll use this logic. When you divide it 3 ways, I'm taking into account that the property that they helped you purchase, the McMansion that they helped you purchase that's in your name, that you guys are taking all full control of, you can have that, but give these ladies County Pass and let that be the division. They get their money back, the money that they not only put in the County Pass, but the money that they put into the McMansion, kind of what Christine did. Cody's just Christine in this situation. You get Cody and Robin, they get their house, click. Janelle and Mary get their contribution to Robin and Cody's house and County Pass in the form of County Pass. Click. So Cody, Mary and Janelle get County Pass. Robin and Cody get the $1.7 million home. That sounds fair to me. That's your contribution. Cody talks about how he paid out of his pocket to get this land, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and how he did this big time stuff. What about the 401k that Janelle cashed out so that she could give you guys rental homes? What about the fact that when Robin moved from the other part of Utah down to Lehigh, they rented a house for her to live around the corner? That wasn't Cody's money that was paying for that house for Robin. That was the other wives paying for that house. That was the other wives and their kids making that sacrifice to pay for her to be around the corner, for Cody to be able to satiate his carnal needs and desires with his new bride. The other wives were paying for that. And because they were paying for it, shouldn't they get their money back? So I'm kind of with you, Susie Q, with the one adjustment that I might just only divide County Pass between two people, Mary and Janelle. But I'm maybe just being a little petty. I'll give you that. All right. Next up, we got Sue Gilbert. Then we're going to jump right back into the phone call. Sue Gilbert with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Good show. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you like what I'm doing. I'm working as hard as I can and dancing as quick as I can, y'all. I'm trying to keep it pushing. So I miss Sarah. Sarah, where you at? But thank you so much, Sue. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Thank you guys all so much. I want to make sure I give you guys a little something. All right, got that smooth moves. All right, so next up, coming to the show, we got Jules. Jules, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much.
I got a couple points. Let me be quick. My first point was, is it like legal that Cody can go and sell the property without consulting the ladies when their names are on the deeds to the property? Is that like legal?
Well, they can sell their portion of the property. So the two parts of the big part where the pond is, they can sell that, and they can sell that one smaller, I think 2 point something acre plot. They can sell that piece of land. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Because in the episode, Christina's talking to no, I'm sorry, Janelle is talking to Mary, and she is expressing to her that I don't know what he's gonna do, as if and like he could sell it from up under us, and I'm wondering if that's even a possibility if their names are on it.
Yeah, they get anything that if Cody and Robin's name appears solely on those properties, like the one big piece where Christine's name was, and a smaller piece, they can take a lion's share of the property. So when I had the one banner that like Cody and Robin would get $615,000 of the 820, they could take that, and that's where all their names appear on the property.
And that would be him taking it the way it's laid out and not the way it was discussed that everybody would get 1/4.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. My second thing that I noticed during the episode was him having the nerve to say, pretty much tell them to mind their business about their business. How are you gonna tell these women?
Right.
Do you remember the pimp from I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker?
Yes. Yeah, with the fish bowls on the shoes. Yeah. Yes, I do.
I swear, when he said that, I just thought about the pimp sliding when he was sliding out, the way he slid. Like, how are you gonna tell them to mind their business when they're actually trying to mind their business?
Right,
They're
it is their
trying to do
business.
that.
Right, exactly.
That's what they're trying to do. Another thing that was interesting was, remember when Robin said, I wasn't supposed to be in the McMansion. This originally was supposed to be a house for everyone. And then we were all going to move on to Coyote Pass. How can that not be used as proof that Janelle and Mary can't use because their money went into that house that Cody and her are currently that's the house they sold, and the equity that they made to get the $2 million house.
Right.
How there has to be a paper trail for that. I mean,
Well, the
that has to,
problem is, here's the problem. In that same conversation, Janelle admitted that she had said that she wanted to get her name added to the deed for Mary or Robin's McMansion. Technically, we call it Robin's house. It's really Cody and Robin's house.
Mhm,
To be very clear, that's Cody's house too.
mhm,
Right? Right. It's probably more Cody's house than Robin's house.
mhm.
But he had told her that he wanted to get Robin's name added to the house because he wanted to secure her estate. So that would mean by default that that's Robin's house. It's Robin's individual separate property. And it's not to be divided amongst the other
But wait
wives.
though,
And they agreed with it.
if you want it, Janelle is a numbers lady. So if you're selling your house in Nevada and you want me to give the proceeds of my house for her to have this as her permanent house when I don't have a house, how can 1 and 1 be 5?
Right.
I don't have a house. I'm homeless.
Right.
And I'm homeless with children that live at home. And you want me to put somebody else in a home when they just left a house with equity, just like me. You need to buy a house that you can afford, period. Or you need to rent until we get to Coyote Pass, just like Mary did. That's
Right.
it. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
No, I
That's
appreciate you.
what I think the numbers person should have said. There were so many times when Mary and Janelle and even Christine could have make moves. I mean, Christine made a good move to get things in their favor financially and be in better places. And I feel like they all just dropped the ball. The good thing and the thing that I respect about Janelle is that she owns it.
Mm-hmm.
She takes responsibility for it. And now finally in this season, Mary's starting to take ownership of it. And I think the best revenge is to thrive, and they're thriving. They're all doing well financially. They're all looking good, like you said, healthy, and they're all making money. And that's the worst thing for Cody is that they're all not they're not in poverty. And I'm not wishing bad on nobody, but if you don't have an income and you're occurring bills, eventually poverty will come and visit you.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Because
and that's
poverty
what
got
he said,
everybody's name,
right? That's what isn't that what he said? That's the only thing that scares him. But don't let me hold you. I know there's other people that want to talk to you. All right. You have a blessed night. Good night,
Thank you
everybody.
so
And the
much for
chat is
calling
always
in.
popping. The
Yeah,
chat is
yeah.
always popping.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I'm very excited. These guys are and very knowledgeable. They're very knowledgeable folks.
Yeah, and we miss Sarah too.
Yeah. She
But
just
you're a
missed
lot of
tonight.
fun.
Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate it.
All
Have a
right.
great night.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Awesomeness. Thank you guys so much. Let me just make sure I have everything. Do. Oh, let's see. Erica MF, $2 super chat. Miss chatting live. I have been a late watcher. Okay. Well, welcome back in the house. That's what's up. Welcome. Susie Q, $1.99 super chat. Marie Ernie is causing chaos in the chat. Please help. LOL. I don't see it. If the moderators could take a look at that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chats. And I want to give you a little something, and then we're going to jump right over to Kitty coming to the house. Let me give you guys a little something. Ow. All right, Kitty, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, how are you doing there, James? I have 3 points, actually, not 2. So just give me 1 second. So the first one is about Mary and Janelle finally talking, which they should have done this at the beginning. Like, even when they were talking at Mary's old rental place, they should have talked even before then about Coyote Pass. 2 is the fact of the whole, like, how, like, the dynamic dynamic of siblings and stuff, because I have adopted siblings, meaning in my family there's quite a few very, very close friends that are like siblings to us, that we, like, even our own siblings consider them as siblings. And it's kind of the same thing if with my kids' friends. So, like, there's a couple of children from my kids' lives that are like siblings to them, and I'm like, okay, I adopted them. So they come into our house. It doesn't matter if they didn't have any clothes or whatever. We always supply them everything.
Right.
And the last point was about the litigation of Coyote Pass, which I think is very, very, very stupid. Especially that I think Mary actually overpaid than the 60 grand.
Yeah. I think she paid more than that. She put more in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 hot takes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. How's everything going?
Good so far.
I like so far.
Yeah. My fibromyalgia has been kicking my ass, but
Oh, yeah, that's a rough one. Fibromyalgia. I have a friend that has that.
Yeah.
It's rough. But thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate your points and your brevity. Appreciate it. You have a great Monday.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Awesomeness. And I'll get right to Alexandra MF or PF. Why I keep saying Alexandra at PF? I apologize. That's just craziness. But I wanted to address something that's been kind of popping up. I just saw what everybody was talking about Marie Eddy. She had a whole thing. I'm just saying, why doesn't everyone leave her alone? The family money problems are Janelle and Cody. Janelle has scammed and frauded and was found out. With regard to that, and then I think they also pointed out, if you want to call in, we could have the conversation. By all means, if you want to call in, I'll put the link back up and we could have that conversation. I'm more than willing to do that. So don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel ashamed. We can rock it out and have the conversation. So if you want to do that, we could do that. But just understand that there will be some pushback when you do. All right. But coming to the stage, we have Alexandra PF. What's going on? How you doing?
Good. How are you, James?
I'm doing well. I keep calling you MF. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. We should pick something more snazzy, but
no, you're good. I'm just messing up. That's all.
It's all good. So I had 2 points this evening.
Sure.
The first is, so in case people don't know, as you were explaining the other night, for them to act with any lawyers, right, they have to put them on retainer. And what that means, for anyone who doesn't know, is you have to pay the lawyer money up front before they start working on your file. So in this kind of case, I imagine lawyers would ask for at least $5,000, if not more. And then as the lawyers use up that money as they're drafting documents and making calls on your behalf, then they'll ask you to top up that retainer as you go. So, I foresee this being an expensive prospect. And it really bothers me that these women have to put good money after bad to try to recoup anything. So this is going to come out of their end result at the end. Anything they pay to the lawyers, they're not getting that back. So it's really, really bothers me. And now that I'm live, I forget my second point. So.
Well, let me give you a little time, because I think that it's an excellent point. Like, because even with the retainers, you like you said, you'll be putting money in, and the whole time. So it's not just that you're paying for the attorneys, you're paying for any support staff, including paralegals, secretaries, anybody who works on the case. You're paying for filing fees. You're paying for, like, with filing fees could include anything from digital copies. When they talk about discovery, you're going in and you're having to pull bank records, those kind of things. When they submit pleadings like subpoenas or anything of that nature, you're paying for all of that. Like, so this could be potentially, and this is what I was saying with Janelle and maybe even Mary having their attorney have a conversation with either Cody or Cody's attorney and say, look, this, either way, this is going to be a very, very expensive endeavor. So you can sidestep this by merely coming to an agreement, between all of us. That way, everybody kind of walks away with a little something and nobody gets hurt. Or this could get crazy expensive. And by the time, and not even throwing shade on attorneys, but the reality of it is, depending on what kind of money you're talking about, this is where the balancing act kind of comes into play, because you don't want to be in a situation where you are literally paying your attorneys whatever it is you were planning on winning if the lawsuit was in fact successful.
That's right. Yeah. You got to look at, am I going to spend 10,000 to get 20 back? I mean, sure, it's worth it, but all that stress that comes with it too. I mean, it's a lot. And I mean, I'm not practicing now, but I am a lawyer, and I can tell you, I'm one of the ethical ones who I'd always sit down and have a conversation with people to say, is this worth your time? Do you really want to be, contributing to my child's university fund instead of yours? So like it's difficult, but it really makes me angry that he's stalling, because that's another thing that'll rack up the legal bills is the stall. Because, if I haven't touched a file in a year and I have to go back to it, I'm going to have to reread some things, and that'll charge up the file again. And it's not, it has to be done, but it's upsetting for the women. And my other point, I did remember it now, was it also really bothers me that after 19 seasons, or let's say 17 seasons, whatever, that Christine came out with this with what, 300,000 to put towards a new house, like for the sale of her house in Flagstaff. Like they're not coming out with these huge nest eggs from being on a show for 17 years.
Right.
And that's the Brown family management and whatnot. It's just another thing about this family that I really dislike, of that, they've had so much money coming in and nothing to say for it.
Right. And the fact that, like, at the end of the day, like you said, potentially they've made millions of dollars while they're during their time on the show, and they don't have millions of dollars of assets to reflect the fact that they've made this much money. And so it's a lot of missteps, it's a lot of mismanagement, it's a lot of poor investments and things of that nature. Buying and selling homes, how you take out loans, what type of loans you're taking out, these things all kind of add up. And then try to live beyond your means, which is a huge thing, because this is an opportunity, it's not a career. So
Right. And Cody, he likes to sink his money into that artwork or that jewelry. But I mean, those things won't have a return on investment necessarily. Like you'd think, if you're wanting to go away from investments, like go for bars of gold or go for something that at least won't depreciate. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand their money management. And it's always bothered me. From, donut tires that they would drive on, and, anyways, here come my little ones to bug me for bedtime. So,
well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate you.
All right.
What's going on? You got the tender saying hi. They trying to get on the mic.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. Have a great Monday.
James. Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye. Awesomeness. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things too, is that especially when it comes to a lot of the artwork and the deals of that nature, you really want to be like, there's certain things that you get involved with investment wise that you have to actually be tapped into that thing. Like you can't go out and like, oh, I'm just going to purchase some artwork, and you don't know anything about artwork, because you might have something extremely valuable and extremely worthwhile, but if you don't know who to sell it to or how much you should be selling it for, then it's basically pointless. But let me we have two more, and then we'll have to cut it off because I said I wasn't gonna go too crazy. But we got Sassy Experience in the house. What's going on, Sassy? How you doing? Hello, Sassy. There she is. Hey, what's happening?
I didn't expect you would get to me that quick. How are you?
Doing well.
Real quick, I think it was an attorney that was on before me, right? I caught the tail end. I think she may have been alluding to this, but I thought about this earlier. So you remember last night when I called in and I talked about how Cody is trying to claim that one piece of property that he and Christine more or less traded,
Yeah,
right?
it was you. I agree with you 100%.
Okay, I'm just coming on late, so I missed the first part of your show. But I was also thinking about something else, about how Janelle and Mary may be trying to approach this. The only quote unquote legal way that I think they have to approach this, we all know they can't say, well, we were married, or even, common law living, right? Because it's too many of them in that equation. I think they may be trying to approach it from the standpoint of this was a business entity.
Right.
And all them damn LLCs that Cody liked to set up, like he changing underwear, that may come back to bite him, because that may be the clearest path. I'm not going to say it's the easiest path, but I think that may be the clearest path for Mary and Janelle, for their attorneys to say, okay, this is how we show that you guys were equal partners in something, because you were setting them up in LLCs. We know he likes to put everything from homes to toilet paper in trust in LLCs. And so if they can show somehow forensically that money they were contributing into this family pot was basically money that went into the LLC, then that may be a pathway of how they're able to stand against him. Just
Right.
a wild hair I had.
No, that makes sense, because that might create the through line that they actually need in order to establish the money that went into the family accounts or coffers and went
Right.
out to the properties as far as investments, whether it's the McMansion or the Coyote Pass. So you might be
Right.
onto something. You might be onto
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. But yeah, that was just my little 2 cents for today. Enjoying the
Awesome.
show as always.
Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you. It's good talking to you.
You as well, sir.
All
Have a
right.
great one.
You have a good Monday. Talk to you
You
later.
too.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye. Awesome. Yeah, Sassy Experience is the one that I was talking about earlier, that said, that made the statement about the big piece of land that had the it just got stuck. Woo! It got stuck. It was ugly. The big piece of land where Cody, Robin, and Christine used to be, that's worth $300,000. That big piece where the pond is that he's so fascinated with. I think that Sassy Experience is 100% right. And I wanted to holler out and give her flowers when I said that, but she is the one who had my mind like, you are 100% right. That is what he's trying to do. But at least from my perspective, that's what he's trying to do. We have another call, and this will be the last one I'm going to take for the evening. Thank you guys so much for calling in. I appreciate your brevity. Thanks for trying to keep it cool in the chat. I see we had somebody who was stirring up a little trouble. If you guys want to call in, if you disagree with something I say, please call in. Don't bother trying to make people troll the chat. You can call in and we can have the conversation. We can get your perspective, and I'll give you my perspective, and I might even be able to deliver some receipts to assist with my points. All right, so we have Lit Mom coming in. What's going on? How you doing?
Hey James, how are you?
Doing very well. Welcome to the show.
There was just one thing I wanted to bring up because nobody else has mentioned it.
Okay.
Cody corrected himself last night. He started to say that he paid for one whole parcel by himself, and then he corrected himself and said he paid for 92% of that parcel.
Right.
So that's why I started thinking it was the parcel that Christine deeded back over to them. So I thought, how can you say you paid for that whole parcel? And it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they got into accounting and that was the only money he laid out at all on any of it.
Right.
And I don't think Robin paid out anything.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out when it's over and done.
No, I agree. I think that it's a terrible thing that they're trying to use the system the way they are, because Cody essentially takes the position, at least from the conversation that we were able to observe with him and Christine, that what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. And so using that mindset, when he is talking about half of anything Janelle has is his, anything half of anything Mary has is his, half of anything Christine has is his, and half of anything Robin has is his. But all his stuff is his stuff because he has to worry about the big picture and the 18 kids, which he happens to share with these other people, which is crazy. So I think
he
that's
sired those kids. I mean, those women raised them.
right. Right, they're the ones who dealt with them. So
Robin
he
didn't
takes credit
raise
for it.
any of them. Her nanny raised hers.
Right.
Oh boy. But anyway, oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive.
This is true. But they just gonna wind up tripping themselves up. But I appreciate you calling in and leaving your take. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
James.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for calling in. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
You too.
Fantastic point. Thanks so much. Oh, I'm sorry. Bye-bye. All right. We have had a fantastic evening. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Let me just restart this one page because this thing just kicked off. All right, here we go. And we're back. There it is. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys calling in. The people who called in, the people keeping it super chill in the chat. Thank you guys so much. I hope you had a good time. I know you're missing Sarah. I missed her too. But hopefully we had a good time and we were able to kind of bridge the gap, fill in the creases, stay liquid, and all that good stuff that they say on SWAT. So hopefully we had a good time. I know I had a lot of fun. I had a great time talking to you guys. And again, I get so much from you guys' perspective and your opinions because you guys helped to fill in a lot of the creases and maybe even some things that I missed during the course of the time when I was watching it. Like Sassy Experience, she blew my mind when she dropped that thing about like, oh, he's taking a piece of land with Christine used to have. Like, what? You right? Yeah. So, because I'm thinking they're trying to take the little 170 land because that would be the nice thing to do. That would be the most reasonable thing to do. But even when I look back on it, because I had created that one graphic that I had earlier with Coyote Pass talking about like the land, little slots of land and the prices and stuff, and whether the land was paid off or whether it still needed to be paid off. This is a conversation we had way back when we were talking about the prospect that they might lose Coyote Pass because of non-payment. And so it makes perfect sense what folks are saying with regard to like him not doing it, even with the last caller coming in saying, yeah, that's what it is. So I appreciate you guys. Now I want to give a huge shout out to some folks who are doing a lot of work for me, making sure that everything stays chill in the chat. I got to give recognition to Lizzie B, Caramel Cuties, and Brittany, not Brittany, my OGs holding things down as far as the mods are concerned. It's a lot of heavy lifting. It is what it is. So they're doing a fantastic job, and hats off to them because they help to keep the chat moving positive and forward. As with anything, if folks have disagreements or you ever feel like you want to say something, please don't hesitate to call in because I do. Like on this channel, I don't mind disagreements. I don't mind different perspectives. If you think Robin has been paying this whole time and she's misunderstood, call in. Call in because I want to talk to you. I've never talked to somebody who's seen Robin as the hero or seen Robin as the victim in this circumstance. And I've certainly never talked to anybody who thinks that Janelle is misappropriating funds and somehow she's the one that was taking money out of the family fund. The only thing they've said about Janelle is that she tried to pay the bills. And I don't understand if the bills are getting paid. The only way that makes sense if you're saying the bills weren't getting paid. And I don't, even then, when Cody is trying to slander her, he never said that the bills weren't getting paid. He just said that Janelle was responsible for paying some of the bills and making sure that some of those bills get paid. So that's where it is. Brittany Not Brittany said, down in super chat, thank you so much, Brittany. Said Lizzie B held it down tonight. Thank you, Lizzie B. Keeping it popping. And she gave a little response at Brittany Not Brittany. So that's awesome. And that's what I like to see, the camaraderie. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Oh, we got one more. Buggus. Buggus, what's going on, Buggus? I haven't seen a bit. $9.99 super chat. Super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Buggus in the house. Oh, wow. OG, triple OG. Buggus has been around, like she's been around, kicking around my channel for a long time. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody keeping it positive in the chat. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me because I know it's a little different. You guys were expecting to see Sarah, but you got me instead. Hopefully I held it down for you proper, that you guys enjoyed yourselves and we had a good time. So I want to thank everybody for coming in. Again, I want to give a big shout out to my mods because they've held it down for me while I'm doing all this craziness. I got a bunch of stuff going on. And so they make it possible for me to focus on the show as opposed to just trying to go through the ins and outs of the chat. It would be very difficult for me, but they're helping me out tremendously. And you guys with the calls, the commentary in the chats, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Keep an eye out for videos I'll be dropping this week. Make sure you check out Sarah's channel at Reality Squad. Thank you guys so much. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality. And I'm out. Yeah.